All right, greetings. We're going to dig into the two solos for Master of Puppets. The first solo by James Hetfield, second solo by Kirk Hammett. We're working in standard tuning with this one. This solo is pretty advanced. Not so much the first one, but the second one is just blisteringly fast. Kirk Hammett at this point in his career was just menacingly quick. And so if you're a beginner, put your guitar down now. Actually, I'm just kidding. Give it a shot. Why not? It's how you get better. Learn the notes, keep practicing it, get it up to speed, and it may take a while because this one is quick. But I'm all about pushing your boundaries and pushing your limits, so give it a shot. Why not? You can't get worse. You can only get better. But it's pretty advanced stuff, and it's pretty quick. We're working in E minor for the bulk of both of these solos. The second solo, the fast solo, switches keys near the end. But we're mostly in E minor, and we're mostly working in the E natural minor scale. There's a few odd notes here and there. He gets a little bit harmonic at one point, dips into the harmonic minor, but it sounds really nice. And so let's dig into this one, shall we? It should be fun. All right, let's do this. Look at me. Got my bare chest all hanging out. Hey, ladies. Let's button up a little bit, shall we? You're going to want to be on the bridge pickup for this one. Maybe roll your tone off a little bit. This is Hetfield's solo. This is the first more melodic solo of the two. I'm pretty sure this is Hetfield's solo, if I'm not mistaken. Starts off with harmonized guitar parts. I will teach you both harmonies. Going to run through the opening lick of this one at speed, and then we'll dig into the meat of it, shall we? Whoops. So you're going to slide into the 15th fret of the B string with your middle finger. And we'll call that note 1. And then we're going to do two little 6-note chunks. So the first little 6-note chunk. And so slide into the 17th fret of the B string, and then 19 to 15 on the high E, up to 17 of the B, and then shift down. We're going to go 17 to 14 of the high E, up to 15 of the B. Here's your first little 6-note chunk. And then you're going to do a little triplet on the 15th fret of the B. And then do the next little 6-note chunk. And that is 17 to 14 on the high E, up to 15 of the B. And then shift down, then we're going to go 15 to 12 of the high E, up to 13 of the B. So, from the top. Triplet. Triplet, another little triplet there at the 13th fret of the B at that point. And now we stop our little 6-note runs there. So, and then 15 to 12 on the high E, up to 13 of the B, and then this little lick. And that is 14 of the high E, and then hammer on 12 to 14 back to 12. And then down to the 11th fret of the high E. That note right there is a D sharp, and that does not belong in the natural minor scale within which we are working. That is part of the harmonic minor scale, so we're kind of mixing scales here, and it works beautifully. That note sounds great. So where were we? 14. Hammer on 12 to 14 back to 12, and then down to that note, the 11th fret of the high E, up to 13 of the B, and then this. That's 12, 13 of the B, and then slide from 13 to 15, and then back to 13 of the B. And then we're going to just basically go back to that odd note again, the 11th fret of the high E, and then ride up the next 3 notes of the scale, 12, 14, 15. So that is the opening lick, and then you do it again. And I'll play through it slowly. Triplet. And now the harmony part is played up here. And that is, we're up at the 20th fret with your middle finger on the B string. And then up to 22 of the high E, back to 19 of the high E, up to 20 of the B, and then 19 of the high E, back to 17, 20 of the high E, back to 17 of the high E, up to 19 of the B, and then triplet, and then you're playing that same little lick again. That's 20 to 17 to 19 of the B, triplet, and then 19 to 15 of the high E to 17 of the B, and then a little triplet again, and then you play the same thing again, 19 to 15. So let's run through that slowly from the beginning. And then this. And that is 17 of the high E, hammering on from 15 to 17 back to 15, and then back to 14 of the high E, up to 17 of the B, and then 16 of the B string to 17, sliding into 19 and then back to 17. And then basically we're doing the same thing we did up here, but we're just doing it in different position, in different notes, but the exact same pattern. And now we're going 14, 15, 17, 19. And finishing on this note, which is the 17th fret of the B, and that's when the solo begins. So I'll run through that harmony part slowly. And then you let that note ring out while the other guitar has taken over the solo. And I'm going to take a little break there and grab a cup of tea, and I'll be back in less than 1 second because I do video editing. It's magic. Alright, that wasn't so bad. I got my tea. You didn't have to wait. The magic of video editing. So this is the main melodic solo without the harmonized guitar parts, and it goes something like this. So we're sliding into the 12th fret of the high E, and then 12, 14, 15, and then 14, 15, 17, and then this 15, 17, hammer on 15 to 17, release back to 15, and release back to 14. And then up to the 19th fret of the high E, and then hammer on 12, or sorry, hammer on 15 to 19, and release back to 15, and then slide down to 12, and then grab the 13th fret of the B. So slowly from the top. And then 2 good bends of the 15th fret of the B. So bend, full step bend, release and bend up again. And then that's 15, 14 of the high E up to 12 of the B, and do that twice. And then 12 to 15 back to 12 of the B string, and then 12 to 14 of the G, and then grab the at the 14th fret with your ring finger, bar the 14th of the G and the B, and bend up, down, up. And that's 11 to 12 of the G, up to 14 of the B. And then 14 of the D string. And then 14 of the G. And that's, where are we? 12 of the G. Pull off from 14 to 12, and then 11 of the G. Back up to 14 of the D string, and then slide into 14 of the G, back to 12, hammer on 11 to 12, release back to 11 of the G, and then go down to the 10th fret of the D. So, where were we from this? And then we're going to the 7th fret of the D, 7, 9, 10, and then 9, 10, 12, and then 10, 12, 14, and then 11, 12 of the G string, and then roll down to the 12th of the B, and then back up to 12 of the G string. So slowly from this. And then slide into the 15th fret of the high E string, 14 of the high E, and then back to that note that doesn't belong in the scale, the 11th fret of the high E. Hammer on 12, back to 11, back to 12 of the B, and then 10 of the B. And then slide into the 19th fret of the high E. And then 17th of the B. So, I'll run through that whole solo slowly. And then we're back into the harmonized part again, which I already showed you. Whoops. And then we're into... All right, that's James Hetfield's solo taken care of. Now we're going to move on to Kirk Hammett's solo. Much faster solo, much more manic, and get your fingers limbered up because this one is quick, and it starts like this. Something like that. And that is, you're pulling off from 17 to 12, and then you're picking the rest of the notes. You're going 13, 12, 13 on the B, down to 12 on the high E. 13, 12, 13 on the B, down to 12 on the high E. Sorry, I'm picking that note when I should be pulling it off. And you're doing that 3 times. And the 4th time, you're going to pull off from the 15th to the 12th, 12, and then do the same 13, 12, 13 on the B, back to 12 on the high E. And then you're doing the this again 3 more times. And then the 4th time, you're pulling off 15 to 12 and then going to 13 on the B and then stopping there. So I'll run through that slowly. And then stopping right there. And then you're moving into this section. And that is, you're up at the 19th fret and you're doing little triple hits here. So you're going 19, 17, 15, 14. And then you're going 17, 15, 14. And then you're going up to the 15th fret of the B for another little triple hit. And then you're grabbing the 17th fret of the B and giving it a full step bend. So, slowly. And now this little lick is very fast and very tricky to pull off. I've seen it done different ways. Kirk Hammett doesn't play it like this live. He usually does something like this. But on the recording, he's doing something closer to this. And that is 15 to 14 to 13 on the B. And then you're grabbing the 19th fret with your pinky and sliding it down to 12. And then 12, 10, 9 of the high E. And then 12, 10 of the B. And that part is really quick. Or you could do it like that, and that's not slow either. So, where are we now? We're into the harmonic, and I read a couple of times that the way he achieved this harmonic was in the studio. He pulled his high E string off the neck of the guitar, like that, somewhere. and that he liked it, and he grabbed his whammy bar and went crazy with it. And I've tried to emulate that by pulling the E string off the neck at every position. I cannot emulate it in any way. If I hit the note somewhere, you know, if maybe that's it. As soon as you grab the bar, the note disappears because your string is off the neck. And so I could not emulate that. I am not buying in that that's actually what happened. But you know, you have enough distortion and enough gain on your amp in a studio, maybe you could pull something like that off. There are other ways to do it, and there are ways to cheat doing it. I've seen a few performances of guys hitting just hitting a natural harmonic. And then, you know, you needed Floyd Rose for this, obviously. You know, hitting a natural harmonic, maybe at the 5th fret, and then 2 pulls down, 2 pulls up. That is not the right pitch. I've seen guys doing it at the 4th fret on the B. That's closer to the right pitch, but I listened to the original recording a number of times, and I think the actual right pitch is a harmonic on the 3rd fret, which is really difficult to make ring out. And on this guitar, I have a hard time at 3rd fret getting a harmonic to ring out. There it is. I'm not getting it. But there is a harmonic there at the 3rd fret that you nail it, that's it. But to get it, I think you need a ton of gain to get that to ring out. There's another way to get that pitch, and this is what I think Kirk Hammett did, because he learned from Joe Satriani, and this is one of Joe Satriani's tricks, is to pinch on the open string. And you can get that harmonic, the one that I believe is the right pitch, somewhere up here, you know, maybe if you got a 24 fret guitar, maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the end of the neck, right there, right there. But again, it's really hard to nail it, especially when you're coming out of something this fast. And so that's going to take practice, because to, you know, if you're going to do it this way, which I think is probably the easiest way, to nail that pinch is every time, you know, it's, you know, pinch harmonics, they're so hard to nail, unless you're Zach Wilde, of course. But to nail that when you need it is tricky. So you can always cheat and just grab a natural harmonic, and it's not the right pitch, but it'll still sound fine. So now we're into this lick. And I learned this solo by ear, so it may not be 100% accurate, but I think it's pretty close, and this is what I'm hearing. So we got 3 hits at the 4th fret of the G, and then we're going to the 2nd fret of the G, and then pulling back off from 4 to 2 again. And then this. From 4 to 2 on the D, up to 4 on the A, and then back to 2 and back to 4 on the D. And a lot of pinching going on, a lot of pinch harmonics going on there. So you're coming out. So I've seen other guys going, you know, but what I'm hearing is 3 with pinch harmonics. And then we're into this lick. And that's 10, 8, 7, up to 10 on the B, 10, 8, 7 on the E, up to 10 on the B, and then 8, 7 on the high E, and then up to 10 on the B, and down to 8 on the B, and then 7, 8, 10 on the B, down to 7 on the E. And then you're going to do 6 quick tremolo picks. I think that was 7. And then we're going into this. But a lot faster. And so we're going 10, 10, 8, 7 twice. And then we're going 12, 10, 8 twice. And then we're going 14, 12, 10 twice. And then we're going 13, 12, 10 once. And then we're into this repeating lick that is 17, 16, 14. And then 19, 17, 14. And you're doing that, I think, 3 times. Sorry, 4 times. So, slowly. Yeah, 4 times. So I'll run through that at speed and then I'll run through it slowly. And then slowly. And that part is hard to play at speed. To get your fingers working correctly, because it's really it's tricky. And then we're doing 4, and then we're grabbing the the 17th fret of the B, and then grabbing the 14th fret of the high E, and doing that 4 times. Bending the 17th fret of the B to a full step bend, and then grabbing the 14th fret of the high E 4 times quickly. And then this lick. And that's pulling off from 19 to 14 up to 17 of the B, and then back to 14 of the high E, and then doing the same. So you're doing it twice. So from this. And then we're doing that same bend that we did earlier at the 17th fret of the B with your index on the 14th of the high E. And then you're moving it up 1 and doing it 4 times again. And that is at the 18th to the 15th, 18th on the B, 15 on the high E. So. And then you're moving it up 2 frets to the 20th fret on the B, down to the 17th fret on the high E, and doing it twice. And then moving it up 1 fret to the 21st fret, and then moving it up 1 more fret to the 22nd fret, and doing it twice. And then big bend at the 22nd fret of the high E, and I think the studio version, he just bends it, and then grabs the bar. Okay, that's not sounding great, but maybe I don't have enough gain on my end. But I like to give 3 good pulls, and then give it some vibrato. Like, something like that. And that's it. That's the end of that solo. And I hope you learned something from that. And that solo is fun to play if you've got the speed. And I really enjoyed learning that one. I didn't know how to play Master of Puppets, and I know it's one of the, as far as metal goes, and I'm a metalhead, it's one of the holy grails of metal guitar. And I never knew how to play it, and so I really enjoyed learning it, and I enjoyed teaching you guys. So I hope you learned something from that. I hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time for something new. So take care of yourselves. Ciao.